Hey guys, today we're talking about integers and graphing them. So what is an integer? An integer represents a negative or a positive whole number and zero. So 0 is neither negative nor positive, while these integers are all opposites. We've got positives over on the right side of 0, and to the left we have negative integers. So to plot them, we draw a number line and then we draw a dot at the location that represents that -7. So if we wanted to graph -7, we would just use a solid dot to show this is his location, kind of like a dot marks the spot. So if we were to graph these integers, we would put a dot at -3, at 0, at -2, and at 4. If we were to graph these, we would plot it on a number line that was a little bit longer, like this one. So you can make your number line as long as you need it to be. For example, I would plot 8 here, -6 and -9, and then 5. Go ahead and try to plot these for me. Draw this number line, write down A through F, and plot these. And I'll be back in just a second to show you what I did. Okay, so here's what you need to do. First, you need to plot the opposite. Notice that 2's opposites, 4's, and 1's are on here. So the opposite of +2 is -2. Notice that they're the same distance from 0 on the number line. Same with -4 and 4. And finally, -1 and 1. Do you see that both of these are the same distance from 0? Okay, so what does that look like in the real world? Well, if we have a 10-yard loss, then because a loss is a negative, it's a negative integer. In football, the integer 0 represents no yards lost or no yards gained. So a loss of 10 would mean to go back 10. So -10 would be the integer. If we said 4 inches above rainfall, that's normal. Well, because in this situation 0 represents the normal amount of rain, then 4 inches above normal would be 4 as an integer, or just the +4. So what is a deposit into a savings account of $48? Deposit means plus. Withdrawal means minus. So a deposit of $48 would just be a +48, and we don't need that plus sign, so the answer is just 48. So I wanted to make sure that you have these words. Loss is negative, gain is positive, above normal is positive, below would be negative, deposit is positive, and withdrawal is negative. Go ahead and see if you can do these. You don't need to write them down, but I want you to make sure that you at least have the key word, like received $100 or owes $30. Okay? I'll be back in just a second to show you what I did. Okay, so I first underline all of the key words. Received $100 means plus 100. Owes 30 means a -30. 15 feet under means -15. 80 degrees is the temperature, so 80 as a positive. And 6 degrees below 0 would be a -6. Okay, so what if they show us a bar graph? A bar graph, in this case, shows the amount of money remaining in a clothing budget for 4 students at the end of the month. A value of -2 means someone overspent the budget and owes his or her parents $2. So what does owing $8 look like? A -8. What is having $5 left like Berto has? Looks like a +5. Okay, so before we talked about temperature, you might have a thermometer, and if you look at a thermometer, you find the 0, and if it's above, that means that the temperature is higher than 0. If it's below, it means it's lower than 0. So 16 degrees is lower than 0 and it's negative. So we begin counting at 0 and we go down 10, 12, 14, 16, and we draw our line. And then don't forget to shade it in. If it was above 0, like for example positive 8, then we go up from 0, 2, 4, 6, 8, because these skip count by 2s. So make sure that you check your thermometer's scale, because some of them go by 2s, some of them go by 1s, and we fill it in. Go ahead and fill in the following thermometers for me, and I'll be back in just a second to show you what I did. Okay, so here's 20 degrees. So you shade it in. I want to make sure that you have these drawn. 32 degrees would be right here. Negative 10 degrees would be right here. And 8 degrees. Okay, this one you have to start at 0 and remember count down to 8 because it's right above 10 degrees. So what does that mean? How are these two different? Well, 10 degrees below 0 is actually colder, okay? It's a smaller number, but it looks like a bigger number, doesn't it? The further away from 0 that you get, the smaller the number. Make sure you write that down. Okay, so make sure you write this down. So for example, -1 is actually greater than -2. And that's all I have for you today. I'll see you next time.